Ancient India, a land steeped in history and philosophy, nurtured a unique system of governance centuries ago. This system was rooted in democratic principles and participatory institutions. Long before democracy found its footing in other parts of the world, the Indian subcontinent witnessed the flourishing of assemblies and councils that gave voice to its people. These early forms of democratic institutions, though different in structure from modern democracies, laid the foundation for a system where the king was not an absolute monarch, but ruled in consultation with various representative bodies. These institutions, known as Sabha, Samiti, Vidatha, and Paura-Janapada, served as vital pillars of governance during the Vedic period, around 1500 to 500 BCE. They demonstrate that the concept of collective decision-making and public participation in governance is deeply intertwined with India's ancient past. These institutions provided a platform for deliberation, debate, and decision-making on matters of public importance. The existence of these institutions challenges the notion that ancient Indian society was rigidly hierarchical and solely dominated by the priestly and ruling classes. It points to a more nuanced reality where the common people had a say in the affairs of the state, albeit to varying degrees. In this essay delves into the world of ancient Indian democratic institutions, exploring their origins, functions, and significance. We will uncover the roles of key figures and terms, understand the decision-making processes, and examine the participation of women in these early forms of governance. Finally, we will trace the decline of these institutions and the subsequent rise of centralized kingdoms. To truly understand the vibrancy of ancient Indian democracy, we must first understand the institutions that formed its bedrock. Each of these bodies, the Sabha, Samiti, Vidatha, and Paura-Janapada, played a distinct role in the governance of the land. The Sabha was an assembly of elite and learned men, often elders and representatives of prominent families. It held significant influence in political, social, and judicial matters. Imagine it as a council of respected individuals. Their wisdom sought to resolve disputes and formulate policies. The Samiti, on the other hand, was a larger assembly, more representative of the general populace. It was in the Samiti that the king would often seek approval for his policies and decisions, highlighting the importance of public consent even in those early times. The Vidatha appears to have been an even more inclusive body, with participation from people of various social strata. Its primary function seems to have revolved around communal affairs, such as the management of resources and the organization of religious ceremonies. Finally, the term Paura-Janapada referred to the urban and rural settlements, respectively. These settlements enjoyed a degree of autonomy and had their own internal administrative structures, reflecting a decentralized form of governance. These four pillars, each with its distinct character and function, together upheld the edifice of ancient Indian governance. They highlight the emphasis placed on consultation, representation, and public participation in the decision-making processes of the time. Within the framework of these institutions, certain figures played pivotal roles, their titles reflecting their responsibilities and stature within the ancient Indian polity. Understanding these figures provides us with a deeper insight into the functioning of these democratic bodies. Prajapati, often invoked in the hymns of the Rigveda, represents the creator deity, the progenitor of all beings. While not directly involved in governance, Prajapati embodies the cosmic order that the king, as the upholder of dharma or righteous conduct, was expected to maintain. The Virat Purusha, the cosmic man, is another significant concept found in Vedic literature. This symbolic representation of society depicts the different classes as emanating from different parts of the Virat Purusha's body, emphasizing the interdependence of all members of society. The Sabhasad, literally meaning one who sits in the Sabha, was a member of the Sabha assembly. These individuals, often learned brahmanas or elders, held considerable influence due to their wisdom and experience. The Sabha party, as the term suggests, was the head or the presiding officer of the Sabha. He was responsible for maintaining order during the proceedings and ensuring that discussions were conducted fairly and justly. The Samitipati held a similar position within the Samiti assembly. He was entrusted with the responsibility of guiding the discussions and ensuring the smooth functioning of the assembly. Finally, the Brahman Vachaspati, literally meaning the Brahmin who is the lord of speech, was a highly respected figure and known for his eloquence and wisdom. He often played the role of an advisor to the king and was consulted on matters of great importance. These figures, each with their designated roles and responsibilities, ensured the smooth functioning of these ancient democratic institutions. Their presence highlights the significance given to knowledge, experience, and eloquence in the political and social life of ancient India. The Sabha, Samiti, and Vidatha were not merely spaces for discussion. They were dynamic institutions that played multifaceted roles in ancient Indian society. These bodies functioned as judicial platforms for resolving disputes, advisory councils for the king, and decision-making forums on matters of public importance. In their judicial capacity, these assemblies heard and adjudicated disputes, ranging from personal matters like inheritance to criminal offences. The emphasis was on delivering justice based on the principles of Dharma, ensuring fairness and equity in the resolution of conflicts. As advisory bodies, these institutions provided a platform for the king to consult with representatives of the people before making important decisions. This consultative process ensured that the king remained connected to the needs and aspirations of his subjects, and that his rule was not perceived as arbitrary or despotic. Moreover, these assemblies played a crucial role in decision-making on matters of public importance, such as the declaration of war, the enactment of laws, and the allocation of resources. The participation of the people in these crucial decisions ensured a degree of transparency and accountability in governance. The functioning of these institutions reveals a sophisticated system of checks and balances, where the power of the king was tempered by the collective will and wisdom of the people. These assemblies ensured that the ruler remained accountable to those he ruled, fostering a sense of shared responsibility in the governance of the land. At the heart of these ancient Indian democratic institutions lay the principles of consensus, voting, and, surprisingly for some, women's participation. These elements underscore the progressive nature of these early forms of governance. Consensus building was highly valued in these assemblies. Decisions were not forced upon the people, but were arrived at through dialogue, debate, and a genuine attempt to find common ground. This emphasis on consensus fostered a sense of unity and harmony within the community. However, when consensus proved elusive, voting mechanisms were employed to arrive at a decision. While the exact methods of voting are not fully known, evidence suggests the use of voice votes and even the casting of lots. This demonstrates a willingness to abide by the decision of the majority, even when it differed from one's own view. Intriguingly, there is evidence suggesting the participation of women in these assemblies, particularly in the Vidatha. While the extent of their involvement remains a subject of scholarly debate, their presence itself challenges the notion that ancient Indian society was entirely patriarchal and exclusionary. These democratic ideals, consensus, voting, and women's participation, highlight the progressive nature of ancient Indian governance. They offer valuable insights into a time when societies across the world were grappling with various forms of social and political organization. Section 6. Scriptural Echoes of Democracy, Insights from the Vedas. The Vedas, the oldest scriptures of Hinduism, offer valuable insights into the functioning of these ancient Indian democratic institutions. Scattered throughout the hymns and verses of the Rigveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda are references to Sabhas and Samitis, highlighting their significance in Vedic society. The Rigveda, for instance, mentions the Sabha and Samiti in the context of royal consecration ceremonies. The king, upon his ascension to the throne, would address these assemblies, seeking their support and blessings. This suggests that the king's authority was not absolute, but was contingent upon the approval of these representative bodies. The Yajurveda describes the Sabha as a place where both what is good and what is bad are proclaimed. This indicates that the Sabha served as a platform for open discussion and debate, where diverse viewpoints were aired without fear of censorship. The Atharvaveda contains hymns praising the eloquence of speakers in the Sabha, suggesting that oratory skills were highly valued in these assemblies. The ability to articulate one's views effectively and persuade others was seen as a mark of intelligence and leadership. These scriptural references, though often fragmented and open to interpretation, provide valuable glimpses into the functioning of these ancient democratic institutions. They highlight the importance given to public participation, freedom of speech, and the rule of law in Vedic society. Section 7. The waning of decentralization, the rise of centralized kingdoms. The vibrant system of decentralized governance, characterized by the flourishing of Sabhas, Samitis, and Vidathas, gradually declined with the passage of time. Several factors contributed to this shift, paving the way for the rise of centralized kingdoms and monarchical rule in ancient India. One significant factor was the emergence of powerful kingdoms and empires, as kings consolidated their power and expanded their territories. They began to assert greater control over their domains. The autonomy enjoyed by local communities gradually diminished as central authority became more entrenched. The rise of new schools of political thought, such as the Arthashastra attributed to Kautilya, also played a role in this shift. The Arthashastra, a treatise on statecraft, emphasized the importance of a strong centralized monarchy for maintaining order and stability. This emphasis on centralized rule further eroded the power of local assemblies. Furthermore, the growing complexity of governance, with the emergence of new administrative structures and bureaucratic systems, made it increasingly difficult for decentralized institutions to effectively manage the affairs of the state. This led to a greater reliance on appointed officials and a gradual decline in the significance of elected bodies. The decline of these ancient democratic institutions marked a turning point in the political landscape of ancient India. While vestiges of these institutions continued to exist in some form or another, the era of decentralized governance and widespread public participation in decision-making gradually faded into the annals of history. Section 8. The legacy of ancient Indian governance. Despite their eventual decline, the ancient Indian democratic institutions of the Sabha, Samiti and Vidatha left an indelible mark on the political and social fabric of India. Their legacy continues to resonate even today, serving as a reminder of India's long and rich tradition of democratic values and participatory governance. These institutions demonstrated that the concept of democracy is not a recent import to India, but has deep roots in its ancient past. They challenged the notion that ancient Indian society was rigidly hierarchical and demonstrated that even in those early times, there existed mechanisms for public participation and accountability in governance. The emphasis on consensus building, dialogue and debate, which characterized the functioning of these institutions, continues to be relevant in modern India. The spirit of tolerance and accommodation, essential for a pluralistic society, finds its roots in these ancient assemblies where diverse viewpoints were encouraged and respected. Furthermore, the participation of women in these institutions, though often overlooked, serves as a powerful reminder of the need for gender inclusivity in all spheres of public life. It challenges us to create a more just and equitable society where the voices of all citizens, regardless of gender, are heard and valued. The legacy of these ancient institutions is not merely a matter of historical curiosity, but holds profound relevance for contemporary India. As India navigates the complexities of the 21st century, it can draw inspiration from its ancient past, reaffirming its commitment to democratic principles and participatory governance. Section 9. Conclusion: a timeless legacy, a continuous inspiration. The ancient Indian democratic institutions of the Sabha, Samiti, Vidatha and Paura-Janapada offer a fascinating glimpse into a time when the Indian subcontinent was at the forefront of political and social innovation. These institutions, though different in structure and function from modern democracies, embodied the spirit of participatory governance and public accountability. The emphasis on consensus building, the use of voting mechanisms, and the participation of women all point to the progressive nature of these early forms of governance. They serve as a reminder that the pursuit of democratic ideals is not confined to a particular time or place, but is a universal human aspiration. While these institutions eventually declined, their legacy continues to inspire. They remind us that democracy is not a static concept, but a dynamic process that requires constant nurturing and vigilance. As we strive to build a more just and equitable world, we can draw inspiration from the wisdom of our ancestors, who centuries ago laid the foundation for a system of governance where the voice of the people mattered.